My name is Renata Cole. I'm 38 years old. My best friend since college took the business plan I spent 2 years building in secret, launched it 3 weeks before I could, and told our entire friend group I had gotten the idea from her. What she didn't know was that I'd registered everything, the trademark, the domain. The original pitch deck with a timestamp, 18 months before she ever heard me mention it out loud. If you love stories where patience quietly wins the whole game, welcome to the Revenge Report. Let's go back to where this one actually started. Priya Bansal and I met freshman year of college, assigned as roommates by pure administrative luck, and somehow it worked. She was loud where I was careful, spontaneous where I planned everything 3 steps in advance, and for 12 years, I genuinely believed that our differences were what made the friendship work. She was the friend I called first with good news. I was the friend she called first when something fell apart. That's how it had always gone. After graduation, I spent almost a decade working in product development for a mid-sized skincare company. The unglamorous kind of job where you learn exactly how a product actually gets from a lab bench to a store shelf. Sourcing, formulation, packaging regulations. The 100 invisible steps nobody outside the industry ever thinks about. I was good at it. I was also increasingly restless in it. Somewhere around year 7, I started sketching out an idea on my own time. A clean, size-inclusive, dermatologist-backed skincare line specifically formulated for postpartum skin. A category I'd noticed was almost embarrassingly underserved, given how many people actually needed it. I didn't talk about it much. Not because I didn't trust people, but because I'd learned the hard way in a previous job. That ideas said out loud too early sometimes get picked up by people with more resources and less hesitation than you have. So I built it quietly, on weekends, in the evenings after work. I registered an LLC under a name that meant nothing to anyone outside my own head. I filed a trademark application for the actual brand name 18 months before I ever planned to launch anything publicly. I bought the domain. I hired a formulation chemist on a consulting basis and paid her out of my own savings in cash transfers that left a very clean, very boring paper trail with exact dates attached to every single step. I told Priya about it eventually because she was my closest friend, and because at a certain point, keeping a huge part of my life invisible from her started to feel strange rather than careful. I told her over wine at my kitchen table, nervous in the particular way you're nervous when you're finally saying an idea out loud for the first time to someone whose opinion actually matters to you. I showed her early packaging mock-ups. I told her about the chemist. I told her specifically that I was aiming for a launch roughly a year out, once the formulation testing was fully complete. She was encouraging, genuinely, convincingly encouraging, in a way that felt like exactly the kind of support I needed at that stage. She asked good questions. She said she wished she had an idea half that clear for her own life. At the time, I remember feeling relieved that I'd told her at all. Here's what I didn't know at the time. Priya had spent the previous 2 years bouncing between jobs that never quite stuck. Increasingly anxious about what she privately described to other friends as not having figured anything out yet, while everyone around her seemed to be settling into careers, relationships, entire adult lives. I didn't know this because she never said it to me directly. I only pieced it together much later from other people, the way you eventually piece together the full shape of a betrayal from its edges inward. About 4 months after that kitchen table conversation, Priya invited me to what she called a small launch party for a new business venture she was, in her words, so excited to finally share. I remember genuinely, stupidly, being happy for her walking into that event, assuming it was something entirely unrelated to me, until I saw the packaging on the table. It was my product, not similar to it. Not vaguely inspired by it in the loose way that ideas sometimes overlap in a crowded market. It was, in almost every meaningful detail, my formulation concept, my brand positioning, my target customer, wrapped in packaging that was different enough to not be an exact visual copy, but close enough that anyone who'd seen my mock-ups would have recognized it instantly. I stood in that room, holding a glass of Prosecco I no longer wanted to drink, and listened to Priya tell a small crowd of our mutual friends the story of how she'd always been passionate about postpartum skincare, how the idea had just come to her one day, how she'd spent the last several months quietly building it into reality. I didn't say anything that night. I want to be honest about that because I think it's the part of this story people relate to most. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't confront her in front of everyone. I said congratulations, the same narrow, technical way you'd say it to someone you no longer entirely trust. And I went home. And I sat on my kitchen floor for a long time processing exactly what had just happened to 2 years of my actual work. Here's what I did have, though, and what I hadn't fully appreciated the weight of until that exact night. A trademark filing 18 months old, a domain registration with a timestamp, an LLC formation document, invoices to a formulation chemist paid entirely out of my own account, and this detail matters most, text messages to Priya herself, sent months before her launch party, describing my product in specific, granular detail, including the exact ingredient positioning she was now using as her own headline marketing claim. I want to pause here and say something important. I didn't send a cease and desist that week. I didn't call a lawyer the next morning in a blaze of righteous fury. I did something slower, and honestly, something that surprised even me at the time. I waited. I waited because Priya's business was small, self-funded, barely off the ground, running on savings and a modest crowdfunding campaign. Suing someone at that stage accomplishes very little beyond expensive lawyers and a lot of stress for everyone involved. And frankly, I wanted something more durable than a quick legal scare. I wanted to see what she actually built with it. I wanted to know whether this was a one-time betrayal born out of desperation or the beginning of an actual pattern. It was the beginning of a pattern. Over the following year, Priya's business grew steadily, helped along by real momentum on social media, a modest but growing customer base, and eventually, serious interest from a regional retail chain looking to stock her products in physical stores across 4 states. This is, for a small founder, an enormous milestone, the kind of deal that transforms a scrappy side business into an actual company with real revenue and real stakes. It was also, as it turned out, exactly the moment her exposure became largest. Retail partnerships come with legal due diligence. Actual due diligence, the kind involving corporate lawyers reviewing intellectual property ownership, trademark status, and supply chain documentation before a single product goes on a single shelf. I knew this because, unlike Priya, I had actually worked adjacent to this exact process for most of a decade in my previous job. I knew precisely what a retail legal team would ask for, and precisely what they would find the moment they asked for it. I still didn't do anything actively to interfere. I want to be clear about that, because I think it's the most important part of this entire story. I didn't tip off the retail chain. I didn't contact Priya's investors. I simply continued to exist, quietly, as the actual legal owner of a trademark that her entire brand had been built directly on top of for over a year. The retail chain's legal team did their own due diligence, entirely independent of me, and discovered, on their own, exactly what any competent intellectual property search would inevitably surface. An existing, active trademark registration for the brand name and core product positioning Priya had been using, filed 18 months before her business had even existed. Under a different legal name entirely, mine. I received a phone call from the retail chain's legal counsel on a Tuesday afternoon. Calm, professional, entirely unemotional. Exactly the tone you'd expect from someone whose only interest was avoiding a lawsuit for their own company, not adjudicating a friendship gone wrong. They wanted to understand the relationship between my trademark filing and Priya's active business. I answered answered every question honestly, factually, with dates attached to every claim, the same way I'd once presented a supply chain report to a skeptical executive. I found out afterward, through mutual friends rather than from Priya directly, that the retail partnership collapsed within the week. Not because I sued anyone. Not because I sent a single cease and desist letter. Simply because a company doing basic legal diligence discovered an unresolved, entirely legitimate intellectual property claim sitting directly underneath the business they were about to formally partner with. And no retail legal team on earth signs off on that kind of exposure. Priya called me 11 days after that phone call. I let it go to voicemail the first 2 times. The message she eventually left wasn't an apology, not really. It was closer to a negotiation, an attempt to understand what I wanted in order to move forward with the retail deal. I called her back, finally, and told her the truth as plainly as I could. I didn't want anything from her business. I had never wanted anything from it. What I wanted was for her to understand, out loud, what she had actually done to me at that kitchen table, and in the 2 years of quiet work she'd chosen to erase with one launch party. She didn't apologize in that conversation either. I think, honestly, some part of her still believed her own story by then, that the idea had somehow become hers simply by being the one to launch it first. That's a strange, specific kind of self-deception people build when the alternative is admitting something much harder to sit with. The retail deal never came back together. Her business still exists, as far as I know, smaller now, self-funded again, without the momentum that single retail partnership would have given it. I don't check on it often. I don't need to. I eventually did build my own version of the product, under a different name, quietly, without any fanfare, launched almost exactly 2 years later than I'd originally planned. It's modest. It's mine. And every single piece of paperwork behind it has my name on it, time-stamped, exactly the way it always did, long before anyone ever tried to tell a different story about where it came from. I'm not telling you this because keeping careful paperwork is some grand act of revenge. I'm telling you this because for 2 years, I genuinely believed sharing my work with someone I trusted was safe simply because we were close. It wasn't not because trust is inherently foolish, but because some people, when they're desperate enough, will convince themselves an idea belongs to whoever moves first. Priya moved first. But the paperwork never lies about who actually built it, and eventually, someone always checks. If this one hit close to home for anyone who's ever had an idea, a friendship, or a piece of themselves quietly taken by someone they trusted, drop a comment below. I want to hear your story too. And if you want more stories like this one, hit subscribe, because the Revenge Report posts a brand new story every single week. See you in the next one.